Welcome back to another episode of the FRS 86 track build. My name is Ramsey. I hope you're having a lovely day, lovely morning, lovely evening. And today we are at FT86 Motorsports in Limoges. Think about Calypso Water Park. It's right near there. So today we're sorting out a couple of the small bugs that we had when we went to the track. If you saw in episode 5 in the reveal and test day video, I mentioned that the transmission overheated. So that was not because of a design flaw by Scion, Subaru, Toyota, whoever made this car. That was simply because we filled it up as if it were a manual transmission. That is not the way to fill this at all. There's a certain procedure that you need to follow. So with a manual transmission, you would fill from the fill plug and you would go until it comes out of the fill plug. Naturally, that's how I would do it. That's how I would think you would fill an automatic. However, that was not the case for this car. We put about 2 liters too much oil in the transmission, which is way too much oil. So things were just extra juicy and slippery in there, and the car did not like that. So we fixed that, and Mark happened to just stroll by Shannonville the other day, which was after our Calabogie day, and he got some test laps in at Shannonville, and he said the car felt amazing. I want to say a huge thanks to the guys in the FT86 Motorsport Club of Ottawa. They were a huge help. They gave us a lot of insight on their experiences with the car and their experiences tracking an automatic FRS. And we also want to thank Sean at Legacy Auto Center for helping us drain it on short notice. His shop is right near our store, so passed by there, he drained the excess oil out, and then we were good to go. But we are here today because we're doing a couple more things to tweak it. Our lapping day is on Friday at Shannonville Motorsports Park. So today we're going to be putting headers on the car. Yes, I said headers. We removed the catback because it was absurdly loud, like I mentioned before, but we're hoping to gain a bit of low-end power and kind of mid-range power by just adding headers and maintaining the factory catback exhaust. While we're doing that, we're also going to be adding a cooler to the transmission just to be extra safe that the fluid doesn't overheat, because we intend to drive this car like a race car, and race cars get hot, so cooling is never a bad idea. This car is equipped with a factory transmission cooler. That is, it's a little unit where the transmission fluid flows through, and coolant flows through that as well to cool it. So we'll be maintaining that, because when the car is stopped, it has no way of getting air to the cooler that we're adding. And when it's moving on track, the transmission fluid is flowing through a little radiator-like device, and air will be hitting it, cooling it down, and then that fluid goes back in the transmission. So now we have cooling while the car is stationary and while the car is in motion. So let's jump right into the mods for today. The first step is to get the old exhaust out of the way so that we can get to the headers. With the help of a Sawzall, we get the catback off of the overpipe and drop that down. Next up, we begin unbolting the headers and undoing the oxygen sensors so that we can remove the headers. And just like Lego, the headers are out of the car. Now, saving the old oxygen sensors to reuse, we lift up the engine slightly to remove the overpipe from over the front subframe. Next, we unbox our juicy, shiny headers. Comparing the factory mid-pipe with the aftermarket mid-pipe, we can see a nice difference in the flow of the bends. That's how it's gonna sound. Now that the exhaust is out of the way, we drop down the splitter to begin mounting the transmission cooler. After figuring out where we want it, we drill some holes to mount it up. Next, Sylvain makes some custom lines using AN fittings to run the feed and return line from the transmission factory cooler to the air cooler that we're adding. Now, running the lines through the car, we get a length that we're happy with, and we snip it to size and add another AN fitting to the other end of that. Once we're happy with the lines, we mount the transmission cooler to the splitter and connect the feed and return lines, deleting the washer fluid reservoir while we're in there to save as much weight as possible, and then reattaching the splitter to the car because we are now done in the front. Now we can get the aftermarket mid-pipe over the front subframe, block off the secondary oxygen sensor bung, and install our new headers with some nice gaskets. cleaning up the flange for the factory catback to ensure a good seal. We mount the remainder of the exhaust back in the car, bolt it down tight. Reattach the undershielding of the car, fill up the transmission properly this time, and just like that, we're done. Ooh! Okay. That's not bad. And just like that, we've wrapped up another episode of the FRS 86 track build. Today we installed headers, an overpipe that goes over the subframe, and we installed a transmission cooler while maintaining the factory transmission cooler. So now the transmission is being cooled with air and coolant. So a huge thank you to the guys at FT86 Motorsports. These guys are wicked. They make custom exhaust. Well, they're not custom. They make exhausts that fit direct bolt-on to 86s. And here's an example. You can see some beautiful welds. These are made in-house in this facility in Limoges, which means they have everything in stock. So when we needed parts for this car here, gave them a call, came by, we picked up everything same day. So a huge thank you to them, and thank you to you for watching this series. On the next episode, which will be episode 7, we're going to be at Shannonville Motorsports Park, where we're going to be testing the car and actually pushing it, seeing if we can get those lap times down, and making sure we've shaken down the whole car, and hopefully there's no more bugs with it. So again, I hope you're having a lovely day, lovely morning, evening, whenever you're watching this. My name is Ramsey. We'll see you on the next episode.